Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Bianca. Welcome to Vintage on Tap, the YouTube channel that shows you the behind the scenes steps and process of sewing. In this particular video though, we're going to be talking about something that's very important to me, which is self-esteem, and we're going to be discussing the top 3 reasons that sewing increases your self-esteem. Just for some backstory, at least for myself, and something that I have found in my communications with a lot of people in my audience or people that I know personally, it's very easy to have negative self-image, especially, when you're doing the day-to-day task of trying on clothes at the store. It's very easy to walk into a fitting room somewhere, you're trying on this cute top that buttons up the front, and you're finding that it's gaping, and there's always the same problems every single store you go to, every place you go. It's like things are too long, things are too short, those pants don't fit, they're too tight here, whatever, all these sort of things. There's always the same sort of fitting problems on a lot of ready-to-wear stuff, and that can be really easy to internalize. So, in thinking about these lists and this stuff that I felt like could be shared with you guys, I wanted to go ahead and think about what has worked for me and how I've found ways to control my self-image and how I'm seeing myself, and kind of put them into actionable steps that will be useful for you guys. Reason number 1 as to why sewing improves your self-esteem is that it allows you to view your measurements and your size in an actionable way. So, looking at yourself in the mirror, it's very easy to get into a really emotional headspace and be like, oh no, my size, I'm too short, I'm too big, I'm too curvy, I'm too skinny, whatever it is. It's very easy to be stuck in that mindset, and we definitely want to be able to cut that from our healthy, happy lives. So actually being able to pull that measuring tape around, see that number, and being able to use that as a point of information to start sewing right away is powerful, and it will change the way that you see yourself, right? So let's say, for example, you're brand new to sewing, you see the number, it's like, okay, well, this is a big number. Forget about that. Take that judgment out of it. Look at that number as like, okay, cool. What does that correspond to on my pattern sheet? Does it not correspond? All right, let's figure out a way to make it correspond to this pattern and to myself so that I can sew this beautiful piece that I want to make. So using it as something that you can research, using it as something that you can play with on a piece of paper will make you feel so much more powerful about that number, and it also removes a lot of the stigma that we can place on it. Now, in my personal life, what I have found is that there was a project that I worked on last year, which was a bathing suit. If you guys haven't already seen that, there's a video about it. But when I worked on it, it was like having to remeasure myself, having to look at that measuring tape. It's like, yes, these are my numbers. I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm not ashamed of my curves. Let's make something fabulous with it. So it was really empowering to actually see the numbers, not feel bad about it, and just know that it's like, all right, cool, this is my starting point. Let's get to work. So that's reason number 1. So reason number 2 that I believe that sewing increases your self-esteem is that sewing gives you an escape from everyday life. So when things are really tough and really difficult around you, having something that you are working on as a distraction from that can be mind-changing and mind-blowing and mind-empowering and all that good stuff. I know for myself, last year I went through a really big period of depression and anxiety. I was not well. I was not focusing on anything. Everything sucked. That was awful. I gained a bunch of weight. It was no good. But what helped me kind of have a through line was sewing and picking up tiny little projects at the very least that I can control and I can see and work on as a distraction from kind of that mental numbness that I was experiencing. It changed everything for me. I had the penny dress that I made last year, and that was the project that kind of really started to get the wheels turning back into my normal life. I bought the fabric in the summer, and it was just sitting there, and as I'm sitting on the couch, just kind of not feeling myself, and just ugh. I kept seeing this fabric that was sitting on the table, and I'm like, you know what? I know we're about to start the fall, and this project is totally off season, but I bought this fabric and it's gorgeous and it's beautiful, and damn it, I'm gonna make something with it. And having that as something that was every single day I'd work on it a little bit more and work on it a little bit more. That helped me have at least a through line and a distraction when things around me really sucked. So reason number 3, and probably one of the most important reasons that I believe that sewing improves your self-esteem, is that it instills a sense of pride in your work. And this is so important, even for the projects that do not work out. hear me out. So you have to imagine that the moment that you decide, you know what, I'm gonna make that top, I'm gonna make that dress, I'm gonna make that pair of pants, whatever the garment is, seeing the transition from beginning, middle, and end is really important. That's the part that the struggle of going through the beginning, middle, and end is what instills that long-term pride and happiness in yourself and in the projects and the work that you do. You know, even if, as I said, even if it doesn't work out. So, for example, I'll pick a project that was one of my very first projects here on the channel, probably like the first 5-10 videos that I've done. It was this blue, beautiful dress. I picked out this really expensive fabric and it was gonna be great. It was gonna be boned, lined, a whole nine. It was gonna turn out fabulous. By day 2 of working on it, I was crying behind my sewing machine. You know, like I had spent so long on the muslin. I think I'd done like 5 or 6 muslins of this dress. And by the time that I'm like working on the really nice fabric, everything was going to shit. But even though when I finished the garment and I'm laying it out on the table and I'm looking at it, I'm like, worked really hard on it. I learned a lot. I learned what fabrics I'm comfortable working with and what not. And I still felt good in the progress that I made because I learned something at the end of it. Now, obviously, you know, the longer you sew and the more projects to do, you'll be able to really be able to fill up your closet and say, yes, I made this and I made this and I made this, and you're gonna get that positive feedback from other people about it. But without going through that journey, you know, even the fuck ups, you won't be able to cultivate that pride. So I definitely recommend sewing for that as well. I really hope this video kind of gave you some little morsels and info to think about as you're reflecting on your sewing and why you sew. Finding tiny little hacks to improve and give yourself like a little bit of sewing self-love is very important in the day-to-day, so I definitely recommend kind of developing these skills just as you're going through your projects. Please let me know in the comments if there is any way that sewing has helped your self-esteem, whether it's a specific project, you know, finishing one specific thing that you were struggling with, whatever the case is, let me know in the comments. I'd really love to hear them. If you are on Instagram, go ahead and follow me at Vintage on Tap. Also, tag me in any specific project that has really increased your self-esteem. I would love to look at your project, read your story, and I'll share some of my favorites over on my Instagram stories. If you're brand new to Vintage on Tap, also head on over to my website. I have a Start Here page that you can check out, see some of the projects that I've made that hopefully inspire you to get started sewing. And yeah, this video is actually really important to me. The whole topic is super near and dear to my heart. So if you find it useful and you think a friend of yours might find it useful, go ahead and share it, like it, subscribe, all the places, all the stuff, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.